Welcome to RGB, your weekly podcast where we discuss the latest technology news, cool gadgets, product reviews, new apps, and great workflows. This is episode number 10. My name is Alexandre Valère-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Ménard. This week, we discuss podcast advertising in the ear of the listener and all the cool new stuff Google announced at the I.O. conference. So we missed you guys for 1 week. We skipped a week last week. Tyler was out in the wilderness.
Out of town
in the wilderness at a conference. So he was not available to podcast. And sincerely, I was not either. So great time to take a little bit time off. It was kind of a slow week news, except for one big news. So you might have heard the big news last week about podcasting, Apple, and the advertising business in different podcasts. And how Apple supposedly is not providing enough data, enough technology for advertisers / advertising company or intermediary to have more data to better follow the listener, if you want.
Better understand the listener and give them targeted ads.
Yeah, like we do on the web. On the web, whenever you browse the web, you have tracking pixels that go around and follow you around, so they know that you went to this site, you search for this query on Google, and they can pinpoint the exact ad to show you and increase the odds of you clicking the ad.
That's why when you shop on Amazon, you see whatever you were shopping for everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have the bad luck of Googling something related to clothes, usually you'll probably get clothes ads for a few weeks after that. So basically, at the moment, for those of you who don't know exactly how podcasting works, podcasters have a feed, kind of like an RSS feed, with a link to download the MP3 file. So we know how many times you guys downloaded the file, and that's it. So we can have some basic statistics of what app you're using, where country you're from, sometimes the states or the city, depending on the tools that you use for your tracking, for your analytics. But that's basically it. There's not much more than that you can get. There are some companies that's what we learned from Lex Friedman from Midroll, that say that there are some tracking pixels, which is a concept that is technologically impossible to have with audio podcast. You cannot execute a URL while listening to the audio file. This is totally impossible. So I don't know what they're saying, but it's not logic. So basically, that's the data we have. Apple, with its big repository, has more data. So they probably know exactly how many people download the episode, but also how many people started to listen to the episode, how long they've listened to, how much of them actually go all the way to the end, who skips the ads, stuff like that. And supposedly there was a meeting with Apple and some big podcast producers to try to force Apple, or at least ask Apple for more data. So I'm not going to repeat everything that was said around this subject on other podcasts. I wanted to discuss more in terms of us, the listeners, because yes, we do podcasts now, but it's fairly recent, but we've been listening to podcasts for many years. So what do you think about the ads right now? Should they change? How do you see this changing and how it will affect your listening habits?
I don't mind the ads because you have to pay yourself, but getting always the same ads is getting a little annoying, like always hearing about Squarespace, and a lot of people do it differently, so that's okay, and I tend to listen to them, not skip them. But when people just read from the sheet and don't talk about any personal experience or nothing, it gets kind of long, and I skip those usually.
Yeah, me, I feel the same way. Imagine if the podcast ads you're listening were always pre-recorded and it was always the same script.
Yeah, from show to show, the same ad. Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah, the only difference would be the voice of the person. But let's take an example. Like Relay FM started in 2014, so it's almost 2 years. And Squarespace has been one of their sponsors since the beginning. Imagine how many times the same 1 minute spot you heard. If it would be the same, we would be totally like, I would say even pissed off, because it would be like watching TV, but only the commercials like 4 times a day, you know? So yeah, thankfully, the podcasters usually input their own experience, share funny stories. Take an example, the last Hello Internet, Gray had a funny story about some explorer, and it was for a Squarespace ad. So what he said is, basically he said, if you like this person, you can create a site for him. You don't have to rely on the on the servers. They are always available. If you want to create a mailing list, boom, Squarespace integrates MailChimp. So he went over all the bullet points, but always with something funny and interesting. So this is one of the rare Squarespace ad that I really listened to, like from beginning to end, and I had fun listening to it. So that's what I think is the big edge for podcasters, is that they can make their ads content interesting. Some others, like the MailChimp ad we heard on Startup, it's been a while since I've listened to those, because listening to the gang of people saying MailChimp, it's getting over very quickly.
That's more like a TV commercial. It's the same spot all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as the ads are original and interesting, I'm fine with those. In terms of tracking, do you think that if for some miraculous way they could track you more, that would be beneficial for you in some aspect?
Pretty much the only way they could track us is if like, say, our podcast, we'd have our own app. So then we'd be able to see exactly when people started listening, when they stopped, what they skipped and everything. So every podcast or network of podcasts would have to have their own separate app. So that would be really annoying. I wouldn't like that. So I don't know how we would really get more analytics and more tracking.
But let's say that for some miracle, iTunes, Overcast, Podcatcher, everything,
the big ones.
Yeah, all the big ones implement the same technology that allows them to track us the same way that we're tracked on the web. What would be the impact on your listening habits? Do you think it would be better for you? Worse?
Maybe more targeted apps.
Okay, so probably better products?
I'm guessing, but really, you think they'd pre-record like a bunch of ads to just stick into their feeds? Well, into their shows?
Well, targeting ads, that's going to be probably the most obvious outcome. Injecting more ads than there already are, I don't see the need, because seriously, unless your episode is like 3 hours long, I think three sponsors is just a perfect number. The episode go by quite fast. You listen to all 3 ads and it's done. In terms of product, can they be more targeted? Of course. What I mean by that is, let's say I've listened to MailRoute ads for a while, and I've already subscribed to MailRoute. Well, there's no point for MailRoute to have me listen to their ads if I'm already a subscriber. So yes, the advertiser could change more. That would probably help. In the same way that the podcasting survey that Libsyn or other trackers ask their podcasters to send to their listeners. This can help in target what's your age range of your listeners, what's their income, what's their field of work and stuff like that. So they can probably adjust the products accordingly. So more tracking itself would not be that bad in terms of types of ads. Where it can probably be a problem, in my opinion, is that it will be getting very complicated and very and the rates will go down. So I'm thinking that, let's say that some podcast is being downloaded like 20,000 times, but it's not being listened to in full 20,000 times. So it would be like possible for the advertisers to say that the rates would go down because they're not getting as much as they thought they were getting. But in reality, what are they getting is either their service being subscribed to, their product being bought. So they can already have information that they're paying X amount and they're receiving X amount.
But
So,
they already get that kind of, because they're issuing coupon codes or whatever, and then people buy the product and add the coupon code, so they get an idea.
Yeah, it's not like like at this moment there's nothing and it's broken. Not at all. It works perfectly fine. It works the same way that it worked for a while with the TV and radio. They just have rough estimates. They do surveys to try to see who has the more listeners, but they don't have any concrete numbers. So, but the thing is, for each dollar they spend, they know how many dollars they get back, and that's really what they need. More than that, it's just gonna introduce complexity and changing rates, and you won't have the same rates depending on the show or the different audience. So, in my opinion, more tracking would just be more trouble for nothing. Right now, we have a system in place that is interesting, which is rare in the advertising business. I listen to the ads. Most of the times they're interesting. So I would say that format should not change. We also should not be bombarded with 10 ads per podcast episode. That would be ridiculous. But for my listening habits, I would hope that it would stay the same. Perhaps maybe a standardized way of tracking statistics, because with our podcast, we know that depending on the tool we use, we have very varying numbers. So maybe like some standard metrics, that would be interesting, so that anybody who does analytics tracks the same thing, so you can compare apples and apples. Because right now it can be very, very, very varied depending on the service. So, but other than that, I really hope it does not change that much. Just because looking at some podcasting network like Relay, for example, again, I don't see them having to manage so many different rates, so many different changing factors on a episode basis. It would be like a full-time job just handling the ads, when you know that these two guys, they actually do podcasting for a living. And yes, they have a business, but the main point of them is doing shows, not just handling bills and spreadsheets and everything. So anything to add on that?
I think that pretty much covers it. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about low battery mode and night shift at the same time. And this cool hack was published of using Siri to activate low battery mode or night shift while the other one was already on.
Yeah, because before iOS 9.3.2, you could not have low
Both
power
at the same
mode
time, yeah.
and night shift.
Right. So, like you said, with 9.3.2, Apple finally made it available to switch on both at the same time. So it wasn't really a night shift takes up too many batteries. So it was really just a bug or something that they didn't want to introduce. And maybe because of all the traction it got, they decided to release it. So it's available. We don't have to talk to Siri anymore, because who wants to talk to Siri?
Yeah, nobody.
And also on the low battery mode thing, last week, as you said, I was out of town, so I wasn't close to a computer all the time. So I basically ran all week on low battery mode, and it was great. I really didn't mind having the not as much. I think they turned down like the background app notification refreshes.
Okay.
I didn't see a difference at all. I didn't see a difference in performance, really. The screen might have been a little bit darker, but negligible. Didn't really mind. And I was able to last all day on one battery charge.
Like Phil said, they turned some knobs that you did not know even existed.
Right. Well, those knobs work, and I can use my phone all day, compared to when I'm just here at work. I have to charge it usually at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, or else it's going to die, like on my train ride home.
So on your trip, you were able to unplug in the morning, activate low battery mode,
Yep.
and you reach the end of the day, and you still had how much battery left?
I didn't really look. It was late. Well, it was really early in the morning, and
It was late at night.
Hey?
It was late at night, so it was big days.
Yeah, late at night or early in the morning, however you want to see it.
Okay, yeah.
So I wasn't really looking before putting it on the charge.
Okay. Yeah, it really works. It works. This feature, seriously, it's a good addition, especially that it's not like as dumb as just turning off your cell network, turning off your Wi-Fi, disabling push notification. Like it's more intelligent than that. So it's much better.
Oh, I forgot though. I was on airplane mode too almost all week, so that helps a lot too.
Yeah, of course. I had a different experience since last week, since the 9.3.2 updates. I have an iPhone 6s Plus, and in the past, I would never see the low power warning. I could do from morning to night without reaching that 20% mark. Maybe once every fortnight, but not more than that. But since the update, I'm seeing that 20% mark every day at around 8:30 p.m.
It's really since the update?
Yep. So I did the usual, which is shut down all the apps. I know it does nothing, but it's it's a psychological factor. So I just force quit all the apps, force restart, do also a regular restart. And the next day, what I usually do is I do the same thing again and then do a reset network settings just so that everything is clean.
Oh, that's painful. You have to lose all your Wi-Fi networks and everything.
But there's just two, so it's home and work. So
but
still, it's manageable. But still, today, I did that yesterday, and today I still saw that little warning before we started to record. So I don't know what happened with 932, but I don't get a good battery anymore. So I would say maybe I lost close to 20% of my battery available, so it's a big number. So I'll probably try to see also if I don't have any more apps running. So it's like apps that track my fitness or stuff. I know I installed one. Maybe it's that app, so I'll have to investigate more. But it really is like from the day I did the update, the same day I had problems, and ever since.
You can also look in the new battery page is pretty nice. You can see the percentage of each app and who's using in the background, foreground. I'm
doing this right now.
You forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, when you don't have any problems, you don't check.
Oh, okay.
No, but since I have this big iPhone, battery was not an issue anymore. So
right. But it's weird too that you didn't change your habits if you want or usage.
Not really, yeah. You see?
Do you commute to the train? You commute to work and...
Yeah, the thing that uses the more battery is Infuse, which is when I watch TV shows in the bus, which is 38%. Both last 24 hours and last 7 days. So as you can see, I've got a pretty strict schedule. The second app is Moves, which tracks my background activity. 14% in the last 7 days, 8% in the last day. The rest is very small digits, like Instagram 7%, Overcast 6%, Chrome 6%. So nothing out of the ordinary. And the app that I installed, that I mentioned, it's Gyroscope, and it's at 1%. So that should not be it. Should be something else. Yeah, well, I have to investigate that. Airmail is at 5%, so nothing.
Nothing drastic and out of place.
No, really not. That's weird. Anyways, yeah. So basically, that's not good for me. It's good that we can now have 9 shift and low power mode at the same time, but I would I would exchange that for more battery any day.
Right.
And then we had also another rumor for the iPhone 7. We never get those. That's weird.
Yeah, we're in rumor season.
Yeah, so this one is, again, from our favorite analyst, which is Ming Chi Kuo from KGI Securities. He reported that a while back that there would be 2 iPhone 7 Plus models and an iPhone 7 Plus and probably some Pro version. So now he backtracks, and there will only be one big-size iPhone, which will probably be the iPhone Pro with the dual camera. So as you saw in very early prototypes pictures, the iPhone camera would have two lenses right next to each other, and a big oval shape eye, and the smart connector. So this would not be the case for the regular iPhone 7. It would only have one camera and no smart connectors. Also, he mentions 3 gigs of RAM to meet the image processing requirements. That's probably because Apple has in the works some feature like we saw a while back that one lens would film the scene, and the other lens you will be able to zoom on specific point and do some post-processing to show like effects of going from one angle to the other or switching scenes if you want. So basically, that's what he says, which makes sense. I don't see Apple giving out 2 big size iPhone and 1 small size iPhone. The lineup is complex enough as it is. So 1 iPhone SE, 1 iPhone 7, 1 iPhone 7 Pro. Like I said in my previous article with the naming of the products, this is perfect. And then we saw also a few drawings that are also for the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Pro/Plus. You can definitely see the difference. 1 camera, 2 cameras, and no smart connectors, 1 smart connector. So other than that, the rest of the device looks pretty similar. The antenna bands are not straight lines perpendicular to your iPhone. They would follow the edge at the bottom and at the top of the device. So they would be less apparent and give you a visual cue that your iPhone is not an iPhone 6 or iPhone 6s.
And it's also going to enable you to do the dead grip or deadlock, they used to call it, to block the antennas.
Yeah,
on the iPhone 4.
Because you're holding it wrong.
Yeah, dead grip or whatever it was called.
The grip, what is it? The grip of death?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Is it September yet so we can just see the darn phones and stop talking about rumors?
No, there's still a few months to go, sadly.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some cool thing that Apple did for students.
Yeah, so they released a 50% discount for Apple Music users, for students, that use Apple Music. I think it's a good thing because usually when you're a student, you have no money, especially no money for a monthly service. So getting people into Apple Music, before they get out of school, when they start making money and they're just going to stick with Apple Music. I keep confusing the two. So getting them young while they're fresh and just getting them hooked, I guess. Yeah. I think Spotify has the same deal, Spotify has the same deal too for discounts. So
the first day that Apple announced this, you could see the homepage of Spotify was, we also have a student price. Yeah. Look at us here. Hello. So it was all around their sites. So they also have the same thing. So it's never a bad thing. Nowadays, many services have recurring fees, monthly or yearly. So for a student, like you said, having some rebates, it's just a good thing to have.
Just sucks.
So then we saw something back to the old FBI/Apple debacle. The LAPD this time, so it's not the FBI, actually found a, quote, forensic cell phone expert, end quote. So you can probably consider that being a hacker.
Forensic.
Forensic cell phone expert, yes.
Yeah.
So they have a murder investigation ongoing, and there was an iPhone 5S with possible proof that somebody did or did not do a murder. So they wanted to open this phone up, get the content, try to see, I'm guessing, email messages, text messages, and other personal data to either defend or confront somebody on that. And they hired this expert who was able to hack the device, most probably using a 0-day exploit, and jailbreak the iPhone in order to get access to the core root of the system. But the weird thing is that they actually supposedly paid $1 million for that tool. So that's quite a lot of dollars for a local police department. And also disturbing, because if you can just call your local hacker and get iPhone hacked, like, it's still not secure enough. And I was always on the side of jailbreaking and adding features like that. Apple often used jailbreaks ideas in its own future iOS updates. So it was always a good kind of dynamic that smart developers with great ideas could come up with some nice features, and Apple eventually introduced those in the regular iOS. So that was always great. But now, if jailbreaks are getting in the way and being used like by anybody to hack phones just for anything, I'm not too sure I really like this idea. So hopefully Apple will be able to even more tighten the security on their device, and this should not happen as much in the future, especially if they introduce more and more features protected by their secure enclave. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for the future.
I have nothing to say about that.
No? You're waiting for your lawyer, or?
The what?
You're waiting for your lawyer?
Yeah, I'm pleading the fifth.
Okay. I saw something about that. It's not in the show notes, but in the US, you're not allowed to incriminate yourself. So the tribunal cannot force you to
Speak.
Yeah, to speak. But they can now. There was a case that went into I don't know which court, but some court of justice, and they forced the person to use their thumb on the Touch ID to unlock the phone.
That's why I don't use mine.
Yeah, no,
Just in case.
It's because your finger doesn't work with it.
Yeah. So that's a hack too. If ever you get to like in trouble and they ask you to put your thumb on your thing, just lick your fingers before.
Yeah, exactly. So us Canadian have some little news. Apple Pay was released in 5 major banks over the last week. Sadly, not mine. You already had it with your American Express card. Do you have it for your debit card now?
No, my bank wasn't included in the new Apple Pay Canada thing.
So you're with Tangerine like me, I guess?
No, I'm with Desjardins.
Oh, Desjardins, okay. Yeah, so the rollout is not complete, but most of the Canadian banks now have access to Apple Pay. I'm with Tangerine, so I don't have anything. So even my credit card, so that's a bummer. Yeah, so not for me, not yet. One
It's
day.
not even announced.
Yeah, not even announced. And Tangerine said that their infrastructure is not depending on Scotia, which is the other bank that acquired Tangerine last year, I think. So they really are independent entities, and it's really up to Tangerine to just make the move. So
Because it was only rolled out for RBC, CIBC, and I think Interact.
yeah, but Interact, it's also a consortium made by Medibank. It's our debit system in Canada. So basically, it's 4 or 5 major banks that introduce their own standard for debit cards.
And then they say in June for TD, BMO, and Scotia.
Okay, yeah. So hopefully in June for Tangerine too, maybe.
I'm guessing.
Keep our fingers crossed.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. So yesterday was the big Google I/O conference, the yearly event where Google and Sundar Pichai usually present new device, new services, new tools, new ideas. And this year it was quite a full plate, I must say. I was pretty impressed by most of what I've seen. Let's start with Google Assistant. What is that thing?
It's basically Siri, but smarter.
Yeah.
They're trying to integrate it like everywhere. We're going to talk about the other services as they were announced, but they're integrating the assistant into everything. It's basically like a Siri, but smarter and smarter Siri.
Yeah. And also, it has access to your personal data if you allow it to.
Right, because Google.
Yeah, because Google. If let's say you have plane tickets for some plane and you're looking for restaurants to eat, it knows that you have to be at the airport at this time, so it can propose you some restaurants near the airport, for example. So yeah, it merges like natural speaking, natural
machine
language.
learning.
Yeah, natural language. No, but it's natural language processing, I think, so that you can actually ask like humanly ask questions and not follow a strict parameter like of subject, verb, and complement.
Yeah.
So to help you in your searches, and also have always this little assistant that is always there, so ready for you. Then the second device that was introduced, which is the one that I must say I'm the most interested in.
Well, that assistant wasn't really a device; it's like a service.
Yeah, it's a service that's included in the following products we're gonna
Right.
talk about. So the first product, which is a physical product,
Yeah.
is gonna be a speaker, a smart speaker, very similar to the Amazon Echo. So some kind of a nicely designed cylinder with a angled shape, and this is always listening, and you can ask it questions. It's going to reply, so it understands you. It understands who asks the question. It's also hooked on the Google Assistant services, so it's aware of your schedules, your recent emails. You can send emails and text messages. You can ask it a bunch of Wikipedia-related questions and some more advanced questions, probably with Wolfram Alpha and other services. So it's basically like the Amazon Echo, but maybe with a little extra on the smart side.
And yeah, Assistant is a lot smarter. You can ask follow-up questions related to the previous question, and it understands. I think the example they use is they ask who directed a movie, and then they ask that director's name or something, or his age, I think.
Yeah, so you can ask, let's say, who directed this movie.
Yeah.
You're going to get some response, and then you can just add another question without referring to the previous one.
Right.
Like, what was his birth date? And the Google Assistant will know that you're referring to the previous person's, which was the answer of the previous question. So
right, which is not the case right now with Siri.
No, it's a 1-to-1. So one question, one answer, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then we move on to our social app of the week.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because we didn't have one for this week.
Yeah, this is one.
Yeah, this is one. So the Google Allo, which is pronounced like hello.
Yeah, right.
Basically, it's another messaging app.
It's hello in French.
Yeah, hello in French.
Yeah, it's hello in French.
What to say about that? It's another messaging app, similar to Slack/iMessage. You also have the possibility to use your Google Assistant inside a discussion. Let's say I'm chatting with you, and I'm saying, "Hey, let's go eat something. Do you want to eat Italian?" And you reply, "Yes." Then Google Assistant will jump in and propose restaurants near us, and we can discuss. Let's say the first one is good. We just tap on it, and then we're going to get the details on both sides. So it's kind of like we have a like two-way discussion, and there's a third person joining in just to assist us, like an assistant.
I don't know how this fits into like Hangout. How are they going to split Allo and Hangout?
I have no idea. I'm hopeful that one will replace the other.
Yeah, because it's going to get useless and confusing.
Yeah, Hangouts for video chats, Allo for text with assistant, and then the second app is Google Duo, which is kind of a FaceTime app, which was already made in part in Hangout. So now you have like two apps for the same thing, plus Duo does more. It's getting confusing. So hopefully these are replacements.
They're going to phase them out.
Yeah, they're going to phase out Hangout, and instead you're going to get one app for text and one app for FaceTime.
Another good thing, Hello is available on iOS. Well, it's going to be available on iOS.
Yeah, I think it's the first year that Google used so many iPhone screenshots, iPhone device, like around their videos or screenshots.
Yeah.
So it was almost every, like, where you were looking, it's a white iPhone. It's a white iPhone, so it's...
They're really trying to push the cross-platform.
Yeah, but they're a service company, so they want their service to be used. So hopefully they get them out there. So and iOS is kind of a major player, so hopefully you kind of try to get their users too. So
that's going to be a hard thing too, to get people to switch.
Yeah.
And if you switch, you have to switch like everywhere. You have to, because that's what's nice right now. Why people that have iPhones say, or Android devices, they have Hangout everywhere, synced everywhere, and we have iMessage synced everywhere. I can pick up an iPad or my computer, and it's like the messages at the same place.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see, especially not now, a one system to rule them all. iOS will always have its own thing. Google also. and it'll be like, no, right now, don't forget, we have iMessage, we have Hangout, we have Slack, we have Telegram, we have you name it, Snapchat, whatever.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, yeah. So it's all those apps are there, and they're all do
Skype.
the same thing. Yeah, Skype does the same thing also. So it won't get any easier. I'm just hoping that Google will not introduce more dedoubling features like that. So hopefully Hello will replace Hangout, and Google Duo will export the video feature from Hello. Kind of like Facebook exported the Messenger into its own app, and the little icon in the tab bar was just a shortcut to open the other app.
And did you see also they added a nice feature in Hello? You can hold the send button and make it, they call it whisper shout, I think. And you just make the font size bigger.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen this part.
Yeah. When you type out the message, when you press the send, you hold it, then you just swipe up, so you make your text bigger.
Nice.
Instead of caps lock.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Well, the idea is cool instead of just making the text bigger in your application, but the implementation of like the finger holding thing is really, really cool, I find.
Yeah, this would be very useful for Force Touch also. 3D Touch, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And Google Duo, which is basically a FaceTime camera, but instead of just showing the pictures when you answer the phone, the call, you actually see who's calling, and you have a live video feed of them just before you pick up the phone.
That too is going to be cross-platform, so the app is going to be available at launch for iOS this summer, I think they announced.
Yeah.
That won't be available on iOS though, I'm guessing, because you can't display video before the person actually answering the call.
Are you sure?
Yes. You can't have a notification, and when it say I call you on Slack, you're gonna have a notification. I can't display video on someone else's phone.
Yeah, until I click the notification.
Right,
but
until you
open
open.
The app is open, I'm not obligated to
answer call
directly. Yeah, I would see your face and then decide if I answer or not.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not something that will only work on Android, because that would suck for everybody else. But anyways, we'll see. It's always fun to see Google do this little experiments too. So like Google Glass, it was not a successful product, but it probably brought them like enough data and enough usability information that they eventually will get something out that will be very nice. So if these don't work, and there's no failures, they're just learning for the next best thing.
And there's this thing about playing video on someone else's phone. Like say I'm at work or something, and you just call me and you're, I don't know, in a bar or whatever, and it plays on my phone. That's going to be weird.
Yeah, the social interactions will be special with this app.
Yeah.
We'll have to relearn some basic etiquette of how to call, when to call, what to say.
Yeah.
I foresee the famous moonshots of people's ass late at night. We're calling friends and everything. Yeah, so that'll be a fun one.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And Google is asking us for the name. This is the first time they're doing that. They always have a desert name linked to the letter of the alphabet of the release. So this time they have reached the letter N. So we talked in the past about Nutella. We were hoping this would be the Android Nutella version. But instead they said, let the people decide. So they were smart. They said, yes, we're going to take your input. But if we don't like the choices, the top vote, we reserve the right to select it ourselves. So there will probably be no name-y, make-name face in the top list.
They actually said it in the keynote.
Yeah, exactly. Like the famous British exploring boat that was supposed to be named, and the winner name was Boaty Make Boat Face. And in the end, they decided not to use that and give it some scientific name. But thankfully, they had the smart idea of naming the little ship that goes into the big ship that is used for smaller crew or expedition just going around the big boat, the small boat will be named Boaty McBoatface. So at least the name will live on.
And they also say that this is not going to be taking as a real vote. It's just you post your suggestions and they're going to pick and choose whatever they want.
Okay, so it's not a you vote and then okay.
No, say 100 people vote for Nutella and 50 people vote for Namey McNameface. Nutella's not going to win by default. They're going to go into the names and choose.
Yeah, because right now you can just submit
as many as you want
or a sentence, but you don't see the result, so you cannot just add your vote to some pre-existing suggestion. So it's just like a kind of a suggestion box. You drop your name in, and that's it.
No, and it says in the terms of use, it says guidelines. There's no limit of the number of names you can submit.
Yes, of course.
So it doesn't. They're not going to. People have been saying too. They're not going to even look at this. They're just putting it out there.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe they already have an idea, and they're just wondering if there could be some better idea from the public.
Yeah, I heard somebody saying they're going to use this to persuade Nutella, the brand Nutella, to let them use the name. They're going to say look, all these people, they suggested Nutella, so let's just use Nutella. Come on.
I don't understand why they would not agree. It's
free publicity.
It's brand advertisement.
Yeah.
Like we heard in the podcast discussion this week. This is something that podcasts do not have, like Coca-Cola doing an ad, because people will just see the brand, and whenever they are thirsty, they're going to buy a Coke. Well, this is exactly that. It's free Nutella in the front of thousands of developers, millions of users, always there for a year. It's crazy. It's crazy not to accept. KitKat accepted for the K iterations, so why not Nutella?
I don't know.
Crazy.
You said during the video that they were actually almost saying Nutella, no?
Well, the way that the guy said it, he said Android new. It was almost like a new from Nutella, so it was almost there. So
that would have been bad.
Yeah, maybe the internal name is Nutella for the reason. So maybe that's what they're using for many months. So it's hard for them to just break the habit. So we'll have to see. The next one was the VR stuff. At this point, I had a meeting, so I'm not sure really what happened there. They have new Google Cardbox, I think.
VR Daydreamer, it's called.
Yeah.
It's going to be included into the new phones.
Okay, so it's an app in the phone.
Yeah, the phones are going to be VR enabled or something like that.
Okay, so they make a specific set of APIs that developers can use.
Yeah. So
that the headset itself is more efficient in terms of following your head movement.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the headset's your phone.
Yeah. That you put in front of, in the cardboard.
Right.
There was also a remote.
I kind of phased out during that part of the...
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a remote that's kind of like a Wiimote, but it's not just acceleration, but it's also the angle and the movement. So they had a dragon, a flying dragon.
Yeah, they have a couple of games, I think.
Yeah, and it was really following the person's wrist and doing the wavy motion. So if they have some kind of a device, that's nice. I don't see any applications for now except little games. But, you put the tools in the developer's hands and you see what sticks. So that's always a good thing.
They also talked about, I think you can use YouTube fully VR right now.
Yes, there's going to be a section in YouTube with VR videos. So that will be even better.
Yeah, and they had a couple of Google apps or services that you can navigate using VR.
Cool. All right. That's nice. And then they moved on to Android Wear. So new version, new dark mode. What did we saw also?
Any complication with any watch face or custom watch faces.
Okay, yeah. More customization there. Something Apple should listen to.
Standalone apps.
Yes, that do not need the phone to work. So the watch itself would be able to have network access, be it through Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or LTE. it would be able to get its own data itself. So the watch would be standalone. That's a good thing. Not too sure about buying a data plan for my watch.
Yeah, that's going to be weird.
Yeah, but there's Wi-Fi almost everywhere, so I'm thinking that this could work like maybe 80% of the time. So, and when you're not in the Wi-Fi zone, you probably have your iPhone on you or your Android, so that would work.
Also, I don't know if you saw the replying to a text, like writing it out on the screen.
Yes, that was cool. It's kind of like
the screen is cool. Yeah. Well, say you send me a text and what time are you going to be at work tonight, or what time are you going to be home tonight? Mm-hmm. I can just start like writing it out on the watch face on the screen, and the screen was scrolling all by itself. So I'm able to write like 5 p.m. and then it would and it would switch that to like text and just send you 5 p.m.
Yeah, so there's two parts to that. There's a scrolling. So instead of doing like a little drawing like we do on the Apple Watch,
and be restricted to one screen.
Exactly. This little screen like slides to the left slowly. So when you actually write it, you can always like be in the first half of the screen and write very big letters. But since it's scrolling, your text will be actually like 4 or 5 screen in width. And then there's a second part, which is the handwriting recognition. So it transfers whatever you wrote into actual characters. And then you just hit the button and send it.
Another thing we forgot, in Android N, they included the new emoji standard with a bunch of new faces.
Yeah,
or
true.
Emojis, whatever.
Yeah, a couple hundred more, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was 70. I'm not sure.
Okay, 70 more, and probably also the different skin color tones.
Yep.
So, okay. Yeah, you never have enough of those.
People are really happy there's a new emoji for shrugging.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the shrugging emoji. That's going to be used a lot.
Well, after the finger and after the live long and prosper, so now you have the shrug, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
And then one little news from Apple. Apple now has a new page on the WWDC conference page, promoting events going on around WWDC. So I think that's a first, right?
Yeah. I've never seen this.
Yeah, usually they were only like having their own schedule, their own events, but that's it. But now they actually promote AltConf, Layers, which are 2 other conferences taking place the same week. There's even Jim Dalrymple's Beer Bash and the live show of the talk show from John Gruber. So all Apple-centric, all in the same region. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good because they know that a lot of people are going to be coming, even though they don't have tickets, just to be there.
Yeah, because it's one of the rare occasions that you can get a lot of your internet friends together. So, since the tickets are hard to get and expensive, just getting there, booking a room, and then going to other conferences, that's just cool. So, yeah, it's a nice move from Apple. Anything else this week?
I think that's pretty much it.
All right. So you can find all the show notes for today's episode at ipserpixel.co/RGB/10. And you can follow us on Twitter. My handle is Vallier, VALLIERES.
And mine is Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD.
So that's it for tonight and this week. So see you next week.
See you next week.